Everybody, hey to my Instagram folks who just watched me like bobbing my head there for a little bit, but welcome everybody. It's Lacrosse Goalie Wednesday. It is, it is, it's the day. It's 2 days after the national championship, the day that I have dubbed like Lacrosse Goalie Day, thoroughly offending all of my veterans who don't have goalies, but those who have goalies understand where I'm coming from. So if you guys saw my email that day, I really love Memorial Day because to me has a lot of it relates a lot to lacrosse goalies as well because it's the showcase day, right? And not shed light on the girls that come on Saturday, but there's just it's just a good day. So today is Lacrosse Goalie Wednesday. It's the first day of this of summer. I feel like for lacrosse goalies. Ben Stone is in from Melbourne, Australia. Love it. Mini lockdown. Yeah, I heard you guys. Yeah, it happens to the best of us, Ben. Those lockdowns, man, it happens to the best of us. I've been one for like months up here in Canada. So yeah, glad you guys are safe. Jason Edwards is in. Love it, sir. Good to see you. As well as Jonathan Redfern is in. Love it. Welcome everybody and all the guys. Mike Lane, I see you, buddy. Lucas John on Instagram as well, and everybody else checking in. Ride Dog 345, see you on there on YouTube. Welcome. Good stuff. All right, really good. Okay, so lots to talk about this week. This is always interesting. For some of you guys, might have seen my rant a little bit about the save. William Salazar, I see you, buddy. I see you. Mom's in, as always. This is the only way I get to see my mom, by the way. For those of you guys that don't know, I'm up in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Mom's back in Boston. Mom gets to see me live every week, even though I don't call her. She gets to see me live. So that's awesome. Jason Stamets, I see your question there. Jason Stamets, I'll cover that right now. So Jackson asks, I have a question. It's kind of off topic. Do you know where you can get some good stringing for goalie heads? Yes. My current recommendation for goalie head stringing is a guy by the name of Tommy Bruno on Instagram named Mr. Wonderful. So if you just search for Mr. Wonderful on Instagram, Tommy's been a great guy. There's others that I've recommended in the past that are also good people, but Tommy's kind of my go-to guy right now. And if you just follow his Instagram account, you'll find plenty. So that'll work. Okay. Barry McNamara, I see you. Mom's now giving me throwing shade. Jason Edwards. Jason Edwards, his daughter's a pretty damn good goalie. They also like Mr. Wonderful. So he's kind of my go-to now as well. So I would just give him a shout on Instagram and he'll hook you up. Okay. So good stuff. So while people are checking in, do me a favor if you're just wherever you are, Facebook, Instagram, on YouTube, hit the like button. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, and all that stuff would be really appreciated. Really appreciate that. It helps with all the good little algorithm nonsense that we're living in. All right, Jermaine Franklin, is that Jermaine Franklin at TSN? Jermaine Franklin, give me a heads up, and I'll see you. That'd be good. Oh my God, I realized I'm on my wrong channel on Instagram, so I'm going to back out of this. Jermaine Franklin, good to see you. Congrats on the promotion to Toronto, but see you guys later. Getting into my lacrosse crowd. That's kind of silly. Wow, that was kind of weird. Sorry, folks. Can't believe I did that. Discard live video. All right, look at me changing. So hang tight, everybody. I'm going to change over to my lacrosse goalie folks on Instagram. God, that was weird. Haven't done that yet, have I? Really now, Mr. Edwards. Okay, hanging tight. All right. So listen, the summer has basically started for lacrosse goalies. Okay. The summer has basically started for lacrosse goalies. And so I know some of you guys still have school, some of you guys finish up with school, but but really basically summer's starting. So the national championships are always a great way to kind of kick off the summer. In my opinion, it's like we've wrapped up this crazy COVID spring, and now we're just getting ready to play. So the thing though with the national championships every year, and what's interesting is up in Canada where I live, I can't see it live, so I'm watching highlights. I'm hearing from people. I'm watching as much as I can, piecing it all together. And what's really interesting because of that view is I tend not to get immersed into kind of the emotion of the game. And so one of the things that came out of the game was this idea like, oh my God, it was the best. It was one of the top 5 national championship games ever. Like, oh my God, can you believe it? We were losing our mind. Isn't this amazing? And so the idea, one of the things that really kind of occurred to me was like, well, what makes a really good championship? And what I realized was like people were just falling in love with how many goals got scored. And then in the goalie community, people are like, oh my God, the last save was amazing, right? The last save was everything. Like Alex Rode, last save, like, yeah, like, no, no, no. If I could reach through this screen right now, this camera, and I could just kind of give you all one of those little slap across the face things, then you would realize that last save was nothing to talk about, right? And this is what's really important. Like what I'm trying to do here with those of you guys that listen to me every week, with those of you guys who I want to make you informed consumers, because I know you're going to go like get other information, right? Like you're gonna go find other coaches, you're gonna find other summits, and you're gonna find free information. You're gonna go back, and it's gonna mess you up, dude. Like it's gonna mess you up. All right, and so I want you to understand that when you watch a game and you've got a goalie, like for those parents and coaches listening to me right now, if you got a young goalie, and for my young goalies, listen, I want you to really notice what's going on so that you can then become an informed consumer of the game. You can also become an informed, you can also become a informed, just consumer of lacrosse goalies. And yes, Adam, I'm going to get to the girl stuff. The girl stuff is good too. But I've got some comments on the girls' game, and I wasn't totally excited about it. Right, Jason Edwards there, and Adam, you guys both have 2 phenomenal goalies, and that's really important to understand. Shooter choked, exactly. So those Fogos. I'm not sure if he had like a flexi stick, because that's also something, a flexi, if that stick is really flexed out by the end of the game, he's seeing 5-hole and he goes to shoot that ball and he ripped it, and that stick head flexes. Well, that ball's not going where you think it's going to go, right? So that's really important to understand. So I want you, oh, awesome. 80K lack strings. Oh, I appreciate this comment, man. Checking in. Thanks for these videos, because going to a JV game tomorrow, and this is all the kids are talking about. Fantastic. All right. So you're in the right place. All right. Me either, but fun to watch. Adam. Exactly. Okay. So my thoughts on the finals. Okay. So I'm gonna cover the men first. I'm gonna talk about the women. All right. Because we had good goalies playing. But I don't want people to get distracted that just because it was like 17-16 for the men and what was it, 16-10 for the girls? I can't remember now, I just like, I don't want people to get, I want to delve into this, right? Because this is a little nuts for me. So greetings to everybody who's new, to all our Creating Lacrosse Goalie future members, to all my new Lacrosse Goalie University members. Thank you. I want to coach your goalie. So if I'm not coaching your goalie, come join Lacrosse Goalie University, because I want to, like, I had 3 goalies on the phone today, and their parents and their coaches. And it was just it's been great. So if I don't have your goalie, I want to work with your goalie. Okay. Really, really important to understand. But I love doing this stuff for free. My wife was always, she's always amazed how jazzed up I get about this. So, all right. So we had Alex Rode, fantastic goalie, right? Fantastic goalie. I don't like his position. I don't like his stick position, but he's a senior, 6'1". I'm just getting this off the Virginia website. And maybe I could pull it up here for you guys can see it. So this is his smiling face. All right. There's Alex. All right. 6'1". He's a senior. So he's done, unless there's some sort of COVID thing that I'm not thinking of here. All right. And then also we had Logan McNaney, which I feel like he's missing a vowel. Should be McNaney, not McNaney. Anyway. But he's a sophomore, right? So we're going to see him again. So that's really, really good. Okay. I didn't think either of these goalies played very well at all, right? I think there's a lot of stuff that they would like to have back within their game. So I'm not talking about stance or any technique stuff. I'm just talking about like within their own game. They probably would have liked to play better, right? And so why for whatever reason that happened, You can look in the sports psych side of it. You look in the mental prep. You can look at all that stuff. That's what I do at athletespecific.com. But I don't have the ability to dig into that stuff with their game. So we're gonna have to speculate. So, but two great goalies, right? Don't get me wrong. But there's some things that first I want to cover this. I want everybody who's listening to me right now, either live or in the future, to understand this. I want everybody to up their game. I want you to up your demands of this position. I want you to up up your expectations of how a lacrosse goalie can play. Because I will say it again, I've said it a lot, but we have not seen the best goalies play this position, and they sure as didn't play this past week. Okay, so sub 40% save percentage. Jim Beardmore in Maryland is freaking out about that, as am I. That's not a good day, right? And when people go like, oh yeah, well, they're in the national championship. No. If you're a coach saying that, like, you are not doing your athletes justice. If you're a parent saying that, oh hey, well, at least they had a great game, and oh, that last save was no. Your goalie, if you have that philosophy with your goalie, they are going to miss massive opportunities to change this game. Okay. And so if you're out looking for, ladder drills and if you're looking for balance stuff and you're looking for like little, nuggets of information you throw, you're missing the macro view, which is goalies right now in this sport are being ruined by a lot of really bad lacrosse goalie thinking. And I will have that debate with anybody every day. And I will just we'll just keep going, right? I will just keep preaching what I'm preaching, because the goalies that I get a chance to work with, they don't fall for this stuff, right? So don't mistake entertainment for good lacrosse. Okay, so there's lots of goals this past weekend. Like the amount of shots given up in these games, like the defense. If you want better goalies, this is what I want to tell every Division I lacrosse coach out there. You want better goalies? Teach your defense how to play better individual man-to-man defense, and how to understand goalie communication, and how to form this rock solid fortress of goalie communicating, slides, people knowing like when to go and when not to go. Holy God. If I had hair, I would have ripped it out. It just drives me nuts. I think the 15th goal that got scored on Alex Road was a ridiculous switch, and that resulted in a man wide open in front of the crease. That's just bad defense. So it has nothing to do with the goalies in this game. It has everything to do with just a fundamentally better foundational coaching of defense, right? Which is ironic because some of these coaches are defensemen. It's weird. All right. So it just drives me crazy. And then on the girls' game too, it's kind of weird as well. So I'm not a fan. Not a fan. Coach Edwards is going to need some anti-anxiety medication because of watching lacrosse goalies play. All right. So anyway, Jason Edwards, I appreciate that. Okay. So the final save was not a save, right? If you take credit for getting hit in the body, right? I'm all for if you've got a young goalie and you're learning how to take one and you're looking to take, that's not this. When you're at the Division I level, if you get shot in the chest by a player, you don't take any credit for that, right? You don't stand up there and go, I'm not saying that Alex did this, but there's a lot of people going like, yay, the goalie's a no, he got shot in the chest. When you get shot in the body and you don't have to move, you can, when all those parents who don't have a clue cheer from the stands, you can go like, hey, yeah, right on. But in the back of your head, you're going like, I got so freaking lucky on that one, right? And Alex Road was like, we just won a national championship because that guy couldn't shoot. Okay. And I'm sure he could shoot in other games. And I saw the video of him, Coach Tillman, consoling him. It sucks. But you learn from that and you come back and that kid's never going to miss another shot again in his life. Right. Okay. That's really important. So I can't read this word, but it's pretty shitty goaltending, to be honest. Okay. All right. So a couple things I noticed: goalies not playing in a high enough arc. Okay. Okay. Because lacrosse goalies are underprotected, they have completely let go of a fundamental tactic to be a good goalie, which is to play out towards the shooter. The best example was Asia Goldstock in that 8-meter shot. She got scored on, but when she stood at the top of the crease on that 8-meter shot and was slightly offset to her off-stick side, I jumped for joy. Right. And I saw some of the comments on Instagram like, why is she standing at the top of the crease? Because she's playing the biggest she could possibly play. She can also keep coming out, right? She could, but I kept seeing, like, I think the 16th goal that got scored on I can't believe I'm saying that number. The 16th goal in the national championship that went in, or that maybe it was the 15th goal on Alex Road, completely just it was a bounce shot that spiked in the ground and went top corner. That shouldn't happen, right? That shouldn't be that, just fundamentally. And when you come further out, you minimize getting scored on like that. Balls go over the cage instead, or they hit you in the shoulder, or they hit you in the helmet, and they go out of bounds. And then you get to live. Yeah, right. Sorry, my bad on the shooting space call. Yeah. But anyway, she did a phenomenal job. Thanks for that, Jonathan. I appreciate that. So anyway, okay. I digress. The goal, so the goalies are not attacking, especially shots from outside. Okay. I hate seeing goalies so far deep in the cage that they can get scored on like that. And it doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense fundamentally. Okay. Goalies need to be protected enough to come out and take one for the team and take one with a body. All right. And so the other thing is and Ben Stone, I'll get to that in a second. I'll just post it so people can read it while I'm going here. Bad vertical stick position. I hate the vertical stick position. One of the things that the vertical stick position does, and what I mean by that is like you've got a stick like your right hand, let's say you're righty, the stick's on your right side, and that top hand is outside the shoulder crease, right? So outside your delt. And then the left hand is basically underneath the top hand. So in this case, the right hand. So that stick is vertical all the way on the right side of your body. That is wrong. Like, that is wrong. Not even close to correct. No, not even, like, it's wrong. It's not right. It's incorrect. It's bad. It's ridiculous. It's far-fetched. It's how else? Like, I need a freaking thesaurus right now to give you guys examples of what. It's just not even. The fact that this is even a thing tells me how bad coaching has gotten in this position across the board. And yeah. Anyway, so the vertical stick position, one of the things that it does, and I really saw this in the highlights from the game, is that a goalie, because they're not in a strong, powerful position with that top hand, they then resort to basically moving the bottom hand underneath. And so the stick basically pivots where the top hand is. And so the stick head moves, like, so let's say I'm a righty and I need to move to my off stick high position, right? If I take my left hand and I jam it further under my right hand, that stick will pivot and it looks like the head of the stick is actually moving in that space. The problem is it's not. Okay, it's moving slightly, but what needs to happen is that right hand needs to explode across the body like a jab, like a boxer, like an uppercut, right? Like because what's happening is goalies think they're moving, but they're not getting as much bang for the buck as they could, if that makes sense, right? So I just kept seeing that, and it just drives me crazy because it's not a powerful position. In addition, it pulls the left elbow out from the off stick's hip side and things like that. But it just drove me crazy. Okay. Ben Stone, can I read this? Watching a number of the women's ACC games, I saw a lot of the righty goalies fall in love with the sweeping the stick under for an off-stick hip shot move and getting beaten over their left shoulder. Not one moved the stick across their face. Hope that makes sense. It drove me nuts. Yeah, it totally does. And that's a strength thing, right, Ben? That's listen, not to be sexist, okay? Or as Spinal Tap said, sexy. For those of you guys that don't know that reference, please Google it. Like if you take your goalie, male or female, and you have them hold their hand out and you grab it like you would like a stick shift in a car, and you try to shift that thing and have them resist, that's not their most powerful position. And in the last section of what I'm going to talk about today, I'm going to argue for a more centrally located stick head position, and I'll get more of that later. But that's a great observation, Ben, and it's totally true, and it's harder for the girls. Right. From a strength perspective, it is harder for the girls, but the same rules apply. right? The same rules apply. And that is basically bad. It feels good. It feels like a lot that, you know, you end up rotating through your core, through your glutes. It feels good and powerful, but it's like the longest distance between 2 points. All right. So I hope that makes sense. So Ben, great observation. Okay. Another thing I noticed watching the men's game, that I'm no longer recommending an Excalibur ever again, right? Ever. They're too soft, right? Alex Rode let in a goal that he basically saved, still went in the net. Okay. So I just can't. And Jonathan Redfern, who's part of our group, has done a ton of like research. He's a complete goalie stick nerd. And I say that with all the love in the world. Jonathan, you know that. But the idea here is that from a performance standpoint, from an equipment performance standpoint, how the hell can you play this position with a stick head that's basically going to bend in half when it gets hit by a good shot? And I'm not even talking like a great shot, just a lot of velocity, and then that stick is toast, right? So I'm leaning towards the String King now. Jonathan Redford actually sent me one. I don't get, you know, damn it, String King. They don't even send them, you know, on their own. But here's the stick he sent me. This is fantastic. He had the Eclipse, right? The Eclipse too. That's what you're saying? Yeah. So my bad. Sorry, my mind's like I'm ranting, man. My mind's like 1,000 pieces. So anyway, I'm not recommending the Eclipse. I'm just going to tell everybody, just don't waste your money. Get yourself a String King because it's the stiffest head on the planet. Okay. So yeah. Anywho, what else? Too soft. Yeah, the 16th goal. String King's better. Bad clearing. Okay, so one of the things that I teach when it comes to clearing, and again, this is why I want everybody to just up your standard of possibility. Like I was on the phone. I was on the phone with a yeah. So Jason, sorry guys, I'm going Jason. So Alyssa's got the Eclipse too. I think it's probably okay for the girls. Okay, I think it's okay for the velocity of the shot that the women face, even at the college game. I think it's okay, but for the men, it's not working. Okay, yeah, I'm not, Jonathan. I see your comment. I'm not going to go with that right now. Okay, so clearing. So this is where I want people to up their game. Okay, and both the men and the women. All right, especially the girls. Like my God, clearing is a chance to be an offensive threat, not a, oh, hi, how you doing? We're going to get the ball in the offensive half of the field and then we're going to start doing something. No, your goalie, if your goalie gets possession of the ball and they can't hit a midi right away for a quick clear, right? Or a long pole, depending if they're inverted, like your long poles, like you need to be offensive minded, right? You've got to get away from having defense that are just like the fat, slow defensive dudes. Like everybody's got it. Like when we're in the defensive half of the field, we are all defensive minded, transitioning to offense, right? So that it doesn't matter if my goalie gets the ball or my long pole gets the ball or a short stick gets the ball. We are offensively minded out of the defensive half of the field. I can't stand watching goalies who are not covered but have the ball, who like kind of haphazardly make it to midfield and then try to make a pass. No, if you are not covered, you go. You draw and you dump. If you don't draw anybody, the last person you're going to draw is the goalie, right? So for the boys, you shoot that thing. For the girls, you got to figure it out but you can make an assist and be deadly, right? So I really think they got to change the rule in the girls' game to be able to let goalies score. That'll completely change how teams clear. It'll just completely change the game, and it's all just because you let a goalie score doesn't mean they're all going to go for it now, right? But the fact that you allow it to happen changes the entire riding principle of the game. And I just can't I can't stand seeing at the Division I level with talented athletic goalies. Like Alex Rode is a goalie who is willing to double team a ball at X, but he is hesitant clearing the ball in the offense, like the offense. That makes no sense to me at all. Like none. You can't have one thing and then not have the other, right? It's just, it blows my mind. Blows my mind. Okay. Oh, so Alyssa has the String King. Good. You're good. So we're better. Okay. All right. So she has 2 G2s. Fabulous. All right. And she's a stud or studette. Alyssa's a studette. All right. All my boy goalies are studs. All my girl goalies are studettes. No offense. Okay. So, bad clearing and also way too complicated. Like, I feel like teams are trying to get like matchups and sub people off and on and like whatever. It's like, come on, score, damn it, then sub. Okay. Poor defensive communication. Holy HE double hockey sticks. That's not my favorite word, but I probably shouldn't say the other one. That's bad form. Okay. And hey, checking in on YouTube. XZUZ. I had my first JV game as an 8th grader yesterday. I got 12 saves. I won a ball from an attack stick. Awesome. Great job, buddy. Like, proud of you. That's really good. That's really, really good. Okay. I'm glad that's working out. Okay. So here's the deal. Defensive communication, goalie communication. Coaches have to look at this, and it's hard. I get it, especially if you're dealing with like misfit teams, and we all know who that is, right? But a lot of you listening to me right now have some really talented goalies on some really good teams, and even at the Division 1 level, I've had conversations with Division 1 coaches who don't think about goalie communication the way I think about it. And doesn't mean that I'm right, but I'm right. Here's the deal. When your team is on defense, and this goes for the boys and the girls. I know it's a little bit more complicated for the girls, and sometimes the rules even blow my mind. But the point is this: is that first and foremost, solid defense starts with good one-on-one defense. That is easier for the boys than it is for the girls. All right, you can have girls that can sprint in a fast line, but you can watch basketball for this, and even tennis. So in basketball, you'll see the same problems that we have in lacrosse. You'll see a defensive player who can stay with the offensive player for like a step or two, but then as soon as she gets crossed over, it's done. Okay. The interesting thing is you watch tennis and you'll see a player, they'll react to the ball, and then let's say they got to run to the right. Well, they'll cross over and they'll get there, but they're basically getting out of that lateral movement position, and they're just basically turning and sprinting. Well, that's really hard to defend, or it's hard to play against a good offensive player, because they're taught the second that you cross over, right? So if you and I are playing and I'm on defense and I'm shuffling with you, okay, what I'm going to teach you as an offensive player is to look at my feet. All right, because the second you can get me to cross my feet over, I want you to cut back the other way, roll back, whatever, face dodge. I'm done as a defensive player. And that lights up like women's defenses, but it also screws up men's defense as well. So great defense starts with one-on-one, like good, solid one-on-one defense. All right. But here's the deal. What is completely underestimated in the game is the ability for the team to identify where the hell they're sliding from. Okay. If your team is sliding from the crease, great. Everybody's got to know this. What blows my mind is when I see like an adjacent player like look like they're going to slide and then completely lose track of their man and get backdoored for an easy dump, and then it's like it's a slam dump on the goalie. That is all solved with good goalie communication and reinforcement from the coach for the team to listen, right? So listen to the goalie. What are we in? Are we in adjacent? Are we in like, and then they're going to call the slide. Are we sliding from the crease? I hope you're sliding from the crease, because it's like, when teams try doing like zones, I can solve your zone problem just by teaching your team how to listen to your goalie. Okay. And maybe I should start doing that for teams. I don't know. Anyway, oh man, lots of people on Instagram. Hi to all of you. So that's the deal. Poor defensive communication, bad slides, easy goals. Okay, especially that 15th goal on Alex Road. That was just stupid. All right. In the women's game, what I noticed, again, most goals really caused by poor one-on-one defense. But like I just explained, it's harder for the girls to stay in front of their man or woman, right, laterally, and box them out. It's rare. It's more rare, and I just think it's fundamentally how they train. Like most kids just train to run in a straight line, right? Or they'll do like cutting drills, but they'll do them on 45-degree angles. You've got to think of your lateral mobility for your defense. So I know for a lot of you guys listening to me right now, you're goalie parents and coaches, but here's the deal. If the problem starts with that defender, you got to look at that defender in terms of angles, and then how are they training? So if I take my defender and I put a circle around him like a protractor, right? And so it's all angles. And so if I look at my offensive players, you're going to realize like the angles are all on the front side of the circle, right? She's got to run a straight line, or he's got to run a straight line, and then he's got to cut. Okay, so then that brings us like 15, 25, 30 degrees, maybe 45 degrees. But if we've got to do like if we're going to put our foot in the ground and roll back, well, now that's actually off the other side of the circle, right? Now we're not working posterior chain like low back, glutes, hamstrings. We're actually working like hip flexor, like quads and abdominal wall, right? So if we're only practicing with our team running straight ahead, I'm missing all of that, right? Now defensively, all right, my girls or my boys, they got to run laterally. So now I'm at 180 degrees. So I'm on the 270. So does this make sense, guys? Like if this is not making sense, please let me know. Or if this is making sense, give me a thumbs up or a like or whatever. Because maybe I can just pull up a graphic or something. It might take me a little bit to find it, but the idea here is you got to look at angles, and I guarantee you, your team is not training in the proper angles. Like they're just not. So your defense gets out there, you've run them straight ahead for most of the week, and then on game day, you're basically asking them to move backwards, and you haven't trained that at all, and you wonder why your defense sucks. And also as parents, if you're sending your kids to like a strength and conditioning program, and then they're not working on any of that stuff, you're wasting your money. Like you're totally wasting your money. Okay. All right. Okay. So for also in the women's game, so 101 defense, goalies trying to block feeds from behind is a waste of time. Like a goalie has to rely on her defense when those cutters come through. Okay. And I don't care about the shooting space rules. Like people go like, I don't care about any of that stuff. The idea is that when the ball's at X, your goalie has to be able to watch that ball, know which side it's coming around, and then be in position when that ball comes topside. What drives me crazy is when coaches try to have goalies stand outside the post. Like, so let's say the ball is back left, all right? Back left. And you'll see a goalie basically standing with their left foot outside the post facing the back of the field. And then what happens? Well, she runs by, they make a pass out front, and it's even if they did try to make the pass, like let's say they try to make the pass, and then what are the odds your goalie is actually going to cut it off, right? Your goalie's got a better chance of being like facing the back of the cage and then sneaking out for a second. This is something that Bill Pilot, coached years ago, and I totally got. I mean, this is when I was in high school, dude. Right? Bill Pilot is that old. Just want everybody to know that. But I love Bill Pilot. He's a pioneer in this position. But the idea is like stay behind the cage, stay facing the back of the field. If they make a pass, then you can sneak out. Like if I'm standing there, like, hey, what do you think they're gonna do? They're gonna pass it around you, and then now that goalie, who is probably not your most athletic kid on the field, definitely not your most athletic laterally, which they should be. Now you're trying to get her to spin around and get her in position to make a save. I saw so many goals where a goalie was like, basically, I wish the goalie had an extra breath, like a half second, a quarter second to be set to be able to make that save. Goalies make more saves. It just blows my mind this is even a thing, right? And that coaches think that this is helping. No, what's helping is one, tell your defense how to play, how to play better one-on-one, and then have your defense out front just face guard their player. Not like, it drives me crazy. It really drives me nuts. Okay. Ben Stone from Melbourne, Australia writes, I would almost rather not face behind the goal than try and make play of the day. So what I tell my goalies to do is I want you to basically pivot. right? And it's too technical to get in here, but basically, if the ball is side left, right, side left, my left foot's on the post. Okay, my ankle bone is just in front of the pipe. My heel is up against the post. Okay, and then my right foot is basically 45 degrees off the goal line. Right, ball goes behind. Once the ball goes behind about 45 degrees, I'm going to pivot on my right foot. That left foot's going to come around. I'm facing the back of the cage. Facing the back of the cage, scoop my stick is on the crossbar. That's it. I'm good. Calling out ball position, trusting my D. Okay. Trusting my D. If the ball comes around side right, I'm pivoting on my left foot. Right foot comes to the post. I'm in position. And I can see up the field, and I'm actually in a really good position to make the save if they try to stuff one on me. Okay. So I know it's a little technical, but it drives me nuts. Okay. So what was my Asia Goldstock setting up in the 8-meter against Charlotte North in the final when she got scored on, but it blew my mind. That's the best thing ever. All right, it's the best thing I've seen. Okay, I've been preaching that for years, and it's nice to see it trickling up. Okay, finally for the girls, women's sticks need to change. The rules for the pocket rules for women's sticks are ridiculous. If you watch Charlotte North winding up on an 8-meter shot, and she's got all sorts of time, she's waiting for the ref, right? And she's like, she may as well have that ball in a freaking 5-gallon pail that she's whipping around her head like this, and the goalie's got to go like, oh, yeah, but it's not the way the women's game was designed to be played. Do I love it? Yeah, it's great. It's great if you're a shooter. But if you're a goalie, there's a point, right? Like I think I talk about the bell curve every week. There's a point where things start to trail off the edge of the bell curve, and you're like, really? So, yeah, I just think the pockets have gotten out of hand. The ability, as the girls have gotten stronger, it's tipped it so much in the favor of the shooter. It's not fun to watch at times. Okay. And I think that's really, really important. Okay. Andy Levinson, thank you with the amen. I appreciate that. It's the Church of Lacrosse Goalies, man. I am your host. Or as Elaine Miller called me, the cute guy. For those of you who got the Elaine Miller, if you're not friends with Elaine Miller on Facebook, find her on Facebook, friend her, have her send you the 2021 if your Facebook friends were in your high school yearbook. It's hilarious. Okay. All right. Moving on. Is that enough of a rant for the 2021 final? All right. For all you guys listening to me right now that got young goalies, your goalies have the potential to change this game. I fundamentally believe that. All right. It may or may not work out for them. I don't know, but you're sure shit going to try it. And the thing that I just want to see is we have not seen the best goalies play this game yet. Right. We have not seen the goalies. Yeah. I just want you to yeah, I just want you to know that because we're not seeing the best players play this position. Nope. Not at all. All right, moving on. Ride Dog 345. I see your question. I will get to that in a second. All right. One thing I was going to talk about tonight, but I'm not going to. I don't have the video set up for it. But for those of you guys that saw the play of the Virginia midi get hit in the back of the head when he turned his head to the shooter, I'm going to cover this in a separate video and I'll post it later. But I believe that we should have a penalty in lacrosse for defensive players and even offensive players. Offensive players are tough, but the idea here is that I think we need to have a penalty for players who turn their head towards away from the shot. Because we almost saw a kid die in the final. I'm gonna say it here. It makes me sad. There will be a kid that dies because they get hit in the back of the head from a shot, and there's no protection there. And we're lucky we didn't see it on Monday. It made me kind of sick. So, all right, moving on. Happy Coach Edwards coming back now. All right. All right. Why the wide foot goalie stance does not work for lacrosse goalies. Okay. If you guys are sick of me covering this topic, go ahead and let me know. Just type sick of it in the comment because I know a lot of you guys get it. Jonathan Redford, you can't write that though, because I know you're going to write it. He's Jonathan Redford. You're totally on board. I get it. But here's the deal. People who are promoting the wide goalie stance as this thing, the one benefit to a wide stance is that if you get your feet to a certain point and you haven't sacrificed strength, is that every shot outside your feet, is going outside the post. Anything inside your feet, is something that needs saving. All right. That's it. It's like tentacles on a lobster, right? Your feet are at a point where you're like, okay, I get it. So as the game of lacrosse has gotten more difficult for goalies to play and goalies have gotten more and more complex, is the fact that, as a goalie, when you're in the cage, and this might be for those of you who are parents who maybe have never played the position, or even coaches who've never played the position, there's this level of complexity that builds up in your head. And the brain is trying to simplify the position. And that's one of the things that I do when I coach guys with Lacrosse Goalie University, and I'm doing goalie audits, is we try to put goalies in positions where their brain can relax a little bit and not think that everything needs to be savable. And that's what I see with a lot of college goalies when they get lit up, is like they're just thinking too much, right? And so the foot position, what's interesting is when your feet get wide enough and you go like, oh, okay, I get it. It's almost the reverse is when if you stood with both your feet like together, like ankle bows touching, you realize that the only move you have is out, right? Whereas when you have a wide stance, you can move in. Now, what's ruining this, and for those of you guys that watch the Duke game, and I can't remember who Duke was playing now offhand. Was it Virginia? I think it was Virginia. Anyway, the Duke goalie got lit up. And it's the position that I can't stand. It's the position that I've been talking about for like probably close to 2+ years now. This forward hand position and the wide stance with the knees stacked over the ankles. It's dumb. It makes no sense, right? And for those of you who think like, well, he's at a Division I school. It worked for him. No. One of the things you got to understand when you see a goalie playing at a school is that's the best goalie that they could get their hands on, right? Doesn't mean it's the best goalie that is in the country, the best example. It's just the one that they could get their hands on. And in their pool of goalies, it could be cream of the crop, right? It's the cream of the crop. It's the top. The goalie you see playing could be the top of the bottom of the barrel, right? And I learned this when I was in high school and I went to the Cornell lacrosse camp. I went to learn from a goalie named Paul Schmoller, who was the world team goalie, and he played at Cornell, and he's phenomenal. But I saw a video of Paul Schmoller practicing with a guy named Rich Barnes, and Rich Barnes was a Division III goalie from Cortland. And what I noticed watching that video, and it was just this one video, right? I believed that Rich Barnes was a better goalie than Paul Schmoller was, and that blew my mind. Because I saw a Division III goalie who was playing better than a Division I goalie. And I was like, wait, I thought all the best goalies go D1, and then the next best goalies go D2, and the next best goalie go D3, and then the goalies after that work at McDonald's. Like, it just doesn't, So I want you to realize that even though you saw 2 Division I goalies playing, there are better goalies that aren't on that field at that point. They may be at a D2 school. They may be at a D3 school. They may be at an MCLA school. Right? So you got to understand that. Okay. Maryland, but he survived a shark attack. That's right. That's funny. That's a good story. So, but the Duke goalie kept getting lit up, and also Alex Rode got lit up in the final like this too. But when you stand with the knees stacked over the feet, the only thing you can do is fall down. Right? You're not in a position to get the feet together because you've got too much weight on your heels. If your knees are, even if your knees are inside, you've got to be able to get those knees down. And that's a trainable thing. Hockey goalies do it all the time. Right. And that to me will be, I saw the Inside Lacrosse Goalie University, I got a video that's for our members about Kyle Bernlohr. So if you're a member of Lacrosse Goalie University, you can check that out. But I actually point out 2 videos where he actually makes that change. But the thing to understand is that your goalie, especially if they're young, they don't have the strength to stand with their feet wide. All right. And the test for those of you guys, if you just think about it, if I put you into if you learn how to squat, for example, or bench press, I'll give you the bench press example. What you'll notice, there's some athletes that can bench off the chest, but then they can't get any further. Basically, what that is that your muscles on your chest are strong and your lats, but then your triceps are what kick in and get you the last little bit there. And if you see someone bench press and they stall out halfway, well, that means their chest is strong, but their triceps are weak. If you see someone bench pressing and they get down to their chest and then they just pin it, they're stuck. The muscles across their chest are weak because those are the ones that are coming to play at that range of motion. So same things, it's a little bit more complex with the legs. And then as you get the knees out wide and the feet out wide, now you are resting. You're not using the big movers, right? Like your glutes and your hamstrings and you're starting to use like these little muscles in your hip joint that have very little power, especially if you are if you're wide. So here's how you test that if you want to know. So you put your athlete on the floor, knees at 90 degrees. So their hip is at 90 degrees and their knees at 90 degrees. And then you have them what's called a clamshell. You have them open up, right? So you have them bring their leg up. And so and then the foot is also up. So that whole leg is kind of up in the air. Now if you press against their ankle, right? Why their ankle? Because when we're standing and we are moving, we are applying force from the ground through our foot and our ankle up to the knee into the hip, and that's helping us move. So what you do is you put your athlete on their side, you have them clamshell open, bring the leg up, and you push, and what you'll notice, they have no strength in that position at all, like none. Now you can have them like try and do it halfway and they'll be stronger, but even then they won't be very strong. Okay. So you've got to look at this from a structural standpoint and realize like, okay, a narrower stance. So this is where the Maryland goalie played better. It has a better position, in my opinion, to be more active. But even he still on 5-hole shots was falling backwards and not always dropping kind of balanced knees forward, like knees into the hole. Okay, so you got to keep that in mind. So when you basically break this down, when you basically break this down from an anatomy standpoint, a strength and conditioning standpoint, the wide goalie stance, the knees stacked over the toes, is ridiculous. And if you are sending your guy or your girl to a camp that promotes that, save your money. Like seriously, go camping. Like have a weekend. Go to the movies. Go to a COVID-free movie. Buy some pizza. Heck, take her to Lululemon and get some new workout gear. Like it's just whatever. Treat yourself, because you're just going to confuse your goalie if you're at a place that's teaching that. It just blows my mind. All right, rant over. Man, I'm getting an ulcer. You guys are killing me. All right, last one for today. Last banner. Okay. So this is something I've been thinking about for a while, and when you think about the lacrosse goalie position, and there's two ways to look at the lacrosse goalie position. One, you look at it like you are primarily stopping everything with your stick. Now, when I say that, a lot of you are like, well, that's not totally true, and I get it. So, but for everybody listening, what you're going to do with that question is like, so if you believe that a goalie is trying to stop most of the balls with their stick, you're going to give that a percentage out of 100, right? So what is it for you? Is it 10 out of 100? Is it 90 out of 100? Like wherever it is for you, there's going to be a percentage. Okay. Now, granted, that changes based on where the ball is shot on the cage, but overall, you're going to get a percentage. So I guarantee you that whatever number you came up with, it's probably more than 50%. Right? So let's say it was like 60-40. You believe that, hey, a goalie's going to make more ball stops with their stick versus their body. All right. So it's more than 50%. So if you believe it's more than 50% and you're going to hedge your bets, wouldn't you put that stick head in a position that made it more accessible to more parts of the cage at any point in time? Right? right? You got to think about that a little bit, right? Um, um, yeah, Joe Rose. Yeah, he uses his chest if he gets shot at it. Don't get me started. Grr. I'm joking with you. I say that with a little bit of love, but don't get me started. So, but here's the deal. If you believe that you're going to stop more balls with your stick than you are with anything else, why wouldn't you put that stick head more centrally located in the cage based on, it's going to vary slightly based on certain situations, right? But when you break this down, you start going like, all right, if I look at, so the first thing to look at is you look at like baseball catchers, right? And I've talked about this before, but if you look at a baseball catcher, even when they know where the pitch is going, so at the professional ranks, right? Like that's the most accurate pitchers we're probably going to find. That catcher is, what they'll do is they'll put their glove primarily, right? They don't want to be giving anything away, right, to the batter thing. I get that, but primarily, that goalie is going to have his glove centrally located, and then we'll move out from there. Okay, so that's one example. The other example I like to look at is tennis. When a player is at the net, right? So when a player is at the net, what they've basically done is they've shortened the court. They're attacking the player who's about to hit the ball back, and so even when those players are like in a doubles match where you've got players like pretty tight to the net, where do they stand with their racket? They don't stand with it, out to the side and then move across. That racket's centrally located. So that was another example. Then you start to look at like ping pong. You start to look at other racket sports where you have someone who's got to be very reactive to that ball coming their way. So what I want you to give some thought to is this idea, like when we put a lacrosse goalie in the cage and we have them stand with their top hand somewhere outside of middle, we're basically saying, okay, for every inch you go that way is an extra inch you got to go the other way. So especially for Ben Stone, I think, Ben, you brought it up, was with the girls, when that top hand is kind of out toward the right, they have a hard time getting it off stick high, right? And if you think about this, like off stick high is probably the greatest. It's one of the most difficult shots to stop, even if you're like, especially if your goal is short. Even if your goal is tall, there's a hard shot to stop. But then why wouldn't I want that hand to be in a stronger position with which to move into that area? Okay, so I don't have all the answers on this, and a lot of the work that I do with you guys, and even even when I get like a college goalie in Lacrosse Goalie University and I'm working with them, I know that I'm fighting conventional, like cultural wisdom, the lacrosse goalie position that's eons old, and I'm going like, all right, we've got to ask a better question on how to make some of these saves. So if I tell my goalie, I want you to stand with your stick head really high over up to your top right, well, now, how many of you have seen goalies still get lit up there, right? And one thing to notice is if you ever seen a goalie give up a goal where that ball was like an inch or two off of their stick and it looked like they didn't move or they moved incorrectly, the thing that you got to consider is, is the goalie assuming they have to move? And an interesting thing to ask your goalies is like, have they ever made a save where they didn't move? Right. And the ball went right into their stick and they just saw it. They saw it. It's one of the most awkward moves to not make. Is like, as if you're in position and you're standing there and the ball gets shot at a goalie and you don't have to move an ounce because it was basically a missed shot. This is something to give some thought to. It's really difficult. Andy, I see your post. No, lower. And so I can't get into photos right now. I just don't have it set up to pull that up. But what Andy just sent to me was Megan Taylor. All right, it was a shot of Megan Taylor. It's centrally located in the middle of the close to the middle of the net, vertically, like right half, left half. But I'm talking about bringing that top hand in, like almost central to the chest, right, without blocking the view of the goalie. So we just have to, when you think about goalies making saves, okay, the first thing you have to think of is the surface area that the goalie is taking up in front of the net. Okay. Um, uh, so you got to understand, that's the first thing, is you got to think of the surface area that that the goalie takes up in front of the cage. So that's going to modify your stance. That's why I can't stand when I see goalies, like let's say I'm a righty goalie and the ball is side right, and you see a goalie standing with their stick head outside the post. Doesn't make any sense to me. All right. And I saw goalies getting lit up during the national championship or during the tournament on stuff like that. It just drives me nuts. So you got to think of that first. What surface area does my goalie take up in the cage? And we have to modify the stance in certain situations where it makes sense. That goalie may have to stand almost a little taller, or they might have to stand shorter. They might have to bring that hand in or out, whatever. But you got to think of that. The second thing you got to think of, though, is my stick the primary saving tool in this scenario, right? Taking into consideration angle of shot and then the shooter at the cage, right? And then the third thing you got to give thought to is the strength and mobility of your goalie. What can they get to? What can't they get to? What is a strong position versus a weak position? And if I'm asking my goalie to move from that weaker position, does that make sense? And I think when you start to break it down, you realize it doesn't, right? So Andy Levinson, I'm thinking of the Tim Troutner video I did ages ago, or the Jack and Cannon video, if I can find it. Let me see if I can find it on YouTube. This might be this one. I'm not sure. I'm trying to pull this up while I'm talking to you guys. Yeah, this is the one. Here. Hang on, guys. I'm going to pull this up for you. Save it. Pull up the YouTube clip. Oops. Hang on, guys. I'm going to try to do this. And we will do it here. And I will add a source. Hang on, guys. I'm going to show this to you in a second here. Okay. Yeah. All right. Can you guys see me? Yeah, you can see me. All right. Right here. All right. So what you see in this video is that even though QnA, and this is where people get the wide stance argument wrong, because I've heard people say like, oh, if I have my feet wide and my knees out, it gets my butt lower to the ground. Okay, well, you can't. So that's the surface area in front of the cage. That's the center. Okay, I'm going to say this primarily with my stick, and then am I in a powerful position? That's where a lot of goalies miss this. But what's happening in this case, though, is that QnA has come to the middle of the net, right? He's come to the middle of the net. And the stick head, if you'll notice this, is actually also more centrally located. So this shooter, this is Amit, has plenty of time. And where I've paused this, I'm not totally set up here to get this video perfect, but can I widen it? There we go. But from this position, that stick head is centrally located, right? And so he can go up, he can go off stick high, although he would have a lot of trouble going like if that shot was like right in the top corner. But again, percentages, right? Like what are we going for here? And as I play this through, right? So you see that stick comes in, and then from there it goes out, right? And this is the Eclipse 2 that I think that bends right there. But because he adopts a wide stance with his knees in the middle or inside his ankles, he's able to get down like this butterfly stance. And that stick head is centrally located. So you're basically adding two things together. You're adding, all right, my goalie has just dropped and gotten his leg there first, and then he's also gotten the stick here. So the primary thing is like, what's the closest thing to that space the ball is going to? And then I'm getting my stick head there, right? So does that make sense? Okay. Um, uh, okay. Yeah, Jonathan, I love it. Okay, thank you. I know sometimes I don't pull up visuals for you guys, and I apologize for that. But I spend it's a lot of time prepping for that, so I'm glad I can pull this up live for you guys. Ben Stone, I'm with you on this. I just wonder how the shaft length affects the left hand position for a righty. I will try it out later. Yeah, it's not a problem. It's not a problem because fundamentally your hands. My recommendation for hand width is basically the width of your goalie's hips. So if you take the shaft and put it like across their belt buckle, and you have their top hand on the throat, you put the bottom hand like a width, basically the width of the goalie. That's usually fundamentally the width that I like to see your goalie holding the stick. Okay, Sid Karma, no worries, man. Thank you, love it. Okay, so I want you to think about this a little bit because the lacrosse goalie position, and what I try to do every week with you guys is to think about this a little bit and think, how do we make a lacrosse goalie more efficient? Because I'll be honest, I was really disappointed that the goalies in the national championship final, I don't care where the shots come from, guys. Less than sub 40% for the boys. Like, come on. Like, it drives me nuts. And there's coaches out there who will just go along. Oh yeah, you know what? You need Hiko sticks. You need to juggle. No. You need to fundamentally rethink how you play this position, right? And that's what I try to do every week. Jake C302 on Instagram. What's the best string on a goalie stick? That's a odd question, but go check out Mr. Wonderful on Instagram. All right, go check out his sticks, and you'll see he's stringing up sticks for the best goalies in the sport, and they've all got shooting strings. I would say that for start, but check that out. Okay. All right. So did that help everybody? If anybody needs if anybody needs a little bit more, everybody go deeper, or got a question on that, go ahead and leave it in the comments. But this idea of the more centrally, and what this violates, full disclosure, what this violates is my rule about redundancy. Like if I've got a piece of equipment covering over another piece of equipment, this violates that a little bit, right? But it's like here, if I play this, so QnA, if you can see that, QnA is that stick head is perfectly placed just outside the helmet, right, and above the shoulder. So that's maximizing his surface area as in terms of his bodily everything except that the stick position is too vertical. If we have that butt end pointing to the heel, now that brings that left elbow in more into that space. Right, it brings my left hand, my bottom hand into a space where I can get into that off stick area to make a save. Right, that's the only thing that I don't like about his stance here. But I'm actually talking about bringing that top hand in front of the shoulder joint, right, and almost like just more almost in front of the chest a little bit. That then brings that stick head more centrally located. And that's probably one of your most powerful positions to be at, if you think about it, right? So for him and his size, his strength, he's fine there. But for most athletes, they're going to be stronger with that top hand more closer to the midline. Okay. Oh, right on. Is that Michael Strakes? I see you. Hey. Yep. Oh, nice. Michael Strakes with Christina out at the Naval Academy Clinic. Good to see you. All right. Ben Stone. Yes, this and the no stick drill is what we are here for. Fabulous. Love it. Thank you. Okay, so Jason Edwards writes, what I'm seeing is his head is perfectly centered, even more than the head of the stick. Yeah, good observation, Jason. So in this position for him, okay, this is where that wide foot stance allows him to, it's like tentacles, right? Not testicles, tentacles. All right. So, however, the one spot on, and so yes, his head is centered in the cage, but we've also got to be mindful of, the our stick head, right? So if I'm primarily making saves with my stick, okay, and again, that was a question I asked earlier, so don't. So the idea is we need our stick head more centrally located to basically angles where that stick, where the ball is being released. All right. So let's say Amit didn't shoot this like underarm, like, from like 5 o'clock, and he shot it straight over the top. Well, now I've got to be mindful of that angle. Well, the mistake most goalies make is they square up on the body of the shooter. You've got to be squared up on the stick where that ball is going to be released. And then I would argue being offset. I call this offset goaltending. I want you offset to the off stick side, the goalie's off stick side, to where the ball is. So that's the angle that we've got to be prepared for. And even in the D1 final, I saw goalies not lined up like that, and that's just a professionalism thing, man. Like, we got to be on it. So teach your goalies. So Shell B94, glad to hear you also teach to hold the stick on an angle too. So many camps teach my goalkeepers up and down, and it makes me so mad. Yeah, Shell, don't send them. Don't send them there. Like, I deal with the goalies that I see in Lacrosse Goalie University. They come and they pay me for audits. I can't tell you how many of them go to those really expensive, those posh camps and get ruined. And there's good coaches out there like you, all right, that understand just fundamentals. All right, so think of this. Okay. Oh my God. Here's a good one. TJT, something killer 224 on YouTube writes, I actually did the math on how high the stick should be relative to the goal based off the ratios of the distance of a shot, high to high and high to low. Ooh, interesting. I would love to talk to you more, and because I've always been trying to find somebody who could help with this math. But I'd love to talk to you. Email me, Coach Edwards at lacrossegoalietips.com. And that would be awesome. And yes, Ben, sorry about my name, old account, no worries. Ben, yeah, you learned this from me, right? I like using strings to the post from the shooting stick to help with positioning. Yeah, it's right here. All right, carabiners and 5x32 inch strings to teach angles. All right, so, but I want you guys to give some thought to this more centrally located stick position based on where the ball is being released. All right. And because your stance has to morph. Your stance has to morph based on where that ball is coming from. This is why when we talk about like eye hand ball, it's ball, right? It's not I'm just looking out into space and I'm going to keep this position. If a shooter's like 5 feet off the inside of the crease and she's shooting like low to high, that hand has to change, right? That hand has to come down. I know my cameras here right now are a little bit above me, so it's kind of hard to notice this, but I'm not going to be lined up on you. I'm going to be lined down on the ball. So you got to think about those things. Okay. So I want you to understand that your goal, like we've got to realize the surface area goalie takes up in front of the cage. Okay. Where's that stick position? What's the most available thing they're going to be able to get to the ball? Oh, and to finish, Jason, to finish off my thought, sorry, I didn't finish off my thought to this. The place this goalie is the most vulnerable is, and do I have my white, I don't know, my white, I don't know, where is it? Hang on, my settings, wait, no, where is it? I'm trying to get my whiteboard up. Plugins, settings, no, layout, record. Oh, wait. No, it's down here. Add source, whiteboard. Hang on. Hang on. Oh, look at me go. All right. It's here. Can you, it's not thick enough, or thick. Yellow. We'll do green just for fun. It's right here. Right? This is the most vulnerable position for this goalie. Okay. Why? He's not in a strong enough position. He's not in a strong enough position to step to this properly. All right. He could probably get his knee, a little bit of extension from his knee into this space, right? And maybe take it off his kneecap. But this is an example of where even he at this level isn't going to want to do that because it hurts. And literally your kneecap can get blown off your leg. And this is where your goalies that are underprotected are never going to learn how to make this save. Why? Because they're afraid of the ball. Okay. If he were to come out towards the shooter, because he's right on the post and he's as deep in the cage as you could possibly go here. Okay. If he comes further out, he gets those feet close together, and he's in a more powerful position to move laterally. It actually gives him more presence in the cage, and then it allows him to get this side of his body. All right, if we get that elbow out like this, right, and that glove is here, and that stick head is on an angle. Now he can get the elbow possibly into that space, but this is where he's most vulnerable. Okay, and then the other place he's most vulnerable is way up here. All right. So, and then again, if our stick head is gonna, if we're looking at at the places where we need to make saves, like, all right, basically this. I'm going to change the color of my highlighter here, just so you guys can understand here. All right, I'll go red. All right. Okay. Oh, sorry. Shell B 94. I'm on Facebook and on YouTube. And in our group, Creating Lacrosse Goalie of the Future on Facebook. So if you're on Facebook, come join Creating Lacrosse Goalie of the Future. Okay. All right. So I wasn't going to get into this now, but what the hell? For our men's and women's goalies, this is all the same. In this particular shot, we're dissecting this shot, but you can apply this to anything. What shots, where does the ball have to go? Or where will the ball, the places that I have to save with my stick, okay, are basically, I'm going to go from about here up, and then I'm going to go here, and then I'm going to go like here. All right. Now I can use my head to make saves, but just for now, I'm going to do this. All right. So all of those, hey, Frank Segreto, all of this area that I just highlighted in red, and sorry on Instagram, I know you can't see this, but I'm on. You'll see it on YouTube and in the group. Okay. All the spot that's in red is I can only save this with my stick, right? I can save a little bit above my head. I can get my head there. I can get my head to the side, right? I can make, so that's a valid tool to make a save with, by the way. All the moms just cringed because I'm probably promoting concussion, but that's okay. All right. So, but when you think like, okay, I've got to use my stick to make all that, to make saves. That's going to dictate where you place your stick, right? So why would I want my stick? Just a question, right? Just a question. Why do I want my stick? What color should I use? Why do I want my stick way over here? So now basically what you're doing in this case is you're making a bet. You're like, odds are this ball is going to go somewhere not there. Okay. So because every inch I take my stick head for QnA here, every time he takes his stick further out to his right side is an extra inch to get over to this side. Okay. All right. Can you guys see my cursor? You can't see my cursor. Right. There you go. Okay. Now, anything low, okay, if anything 5-hole, the idea is I've got to get there with my legs, right? My legs are closer to that space. This is where you don't see a hockey goalie take their catching glove and go 5-hole. What do? They butterfly and they get their knees down. That's what we need to be doing as lacrosse goalies on a more consistent basis. So it's why I tell my goalies, and a lot of you guys are really, I've been preaching about baseball shin guards for goalies for years, but yeah, people are like, no, well, what about those really nice STX ones that are white that have the little things and when it's hot out, they're nice and cool. Like, what about those? Can I do those? Or what about football pants? Can I do football pants? Like, I don't want anything in my knee though. My knee that makes me slow. No, here's the deal. If you're going to make this save at the 5-hole, the first thing that goes there needs to be your knees. All right. I've stopped sugarcoating this one. Like a baseball catcher would do that. A hockey goalie would do that. That's on a time room shot like this. That's the first choice. No questions. Okay. So my question for you is, are you training it? I mean, like really training it. Like you took 20 shots on your goalie and said, we're going to work on butterflies today. Oh, your hip sockets are tight? We got to stretch that. Right? So, hey, Ashby Shepherd. What's up, buddy? Arrowhead Lax, I see you guys. Okay. Joe Rose, I can't run when my knees are restricted. Yeah, tell that to any professional catcher. Right? So okay. Now, stick to a shot to our off stick hip. Right? Off stick hip. What's the closest thing to that position? That area? It's your elbow. Right? It's your elbow. So, and then it's your bottom hand. So, how many of you are practicing putting your elbow in front of that shot to get really good at making that save? Because what your goalie has to do at every point in time is your goalie is making these micro calculations in their brain. And they're saying, okay, this shot from this speed, from this distance, from that shooter, from like what? Okay, that you look like Terminator, man, with the computer eyes, right? When you saw the video from the Terminator's face out like towards the world, it's like a heads up display, man, on a fighter jet. Your goalie's doing all that, and then your goalie's going like dee, ball going off stick, elbow, and Ashby Shepherd goes, boom, elbow, smack, done. But wait, no, Ashby doesn't have any elbow pads on. Right? It's on his lateral epicondyle. So he makes the save. But now he can't feel his hand. Right? Ashby, I love you, buddy. I'm just saying, send my best. It could be Jonathan Adlam. I don't know. Maybe it was Jonathan. All right. But the bottom line is like, okay, what, oh, wait, I got a little bit more time. Now, maybe it's not my elbow, it's my glove. So I'm going to put my glove there. But oh, dang, we cheaped out. We bought the cheap gloves. Now my goalie's fractured his metatarsals. His metatarsals? What's in your hand? I can't remember those bones. Okay. So Jason Edwards writes, Moreno had one sort of knee pad. How many girl goalies will be wearing one knee pad to practice this week? Right, there you go. Right. It's usually the off stick knee, sometimes, whatever. Depends on if they flop too much. Okay. Jody Hall, I know only 2 goalies that use elbow pads. Yeah, and listen, my thing on the elbow pads, right, I've said this before, is I'm more concerned with elbow pads on maybe the off stick elbow, right? Comes in handy when you're running out of the cage and think that. But the idea here is, it is your goalie because we saw Rode from Virginia, shots the off stick side. There's an attempt there, but there's not, to me, it doesn't look like a refined, this is how we make that save. Okay. And that's what we need to happen, right? That's what we need to happen. Metacarpal. Thank you, Josh McIntyre. Metacarpal. Okay. So, yeah, like when you move in that off stick hip spot, it's the elbow first, then the hand. That stick is, and so this is why that vertical stick position also sucks, because it makes that further and further away, right? So I would have loved to have seen Ament light like Kincannon up off stick hip on this shot. And we would have learned a lot more from it. Okay. So yeah. All right. So does that help? Any questions? If you like that, give me a heart, give me a thumbs up, give me a like, show me some love, or else I'm talking to the universe. Michael Strakes, shout out to Christina. That was a tough loss. I did talk about goalies trying to play the ball behind the net. That kind of applied, but good half otherwise for her. All right, love that. All right. Joel Rose writes, how do you start for the D1 national champ and feign getting to off-stick shots? Can you retype that? I don't fully get what you mean by that. How do you start for the D1 national champ and feign getting to off-stick? Oh, are you saying like don't get there properly? Like I think of feign like it's on purpose. Sid Karma, thank you, sir. This is why. Okay, this is why I keep saying that we're not seeing the best goalies play at the division at the Division 1 level, right? Is that when I see a shot go 5-hole on a goalie, a lacrosse goalie, and they kind of drop all twisted up, or they put like one, you put like if I'm a righty goalie and I'm kind of weak, and that ball's coming like just below the family jewels, right? A hockey goalie drops and takes that one in the cup, right? Now they have pants on, and that pants, it kind of gets hung up in that material, right? But the idea is that goalie's dropping, butterfly down, takes it square in the balls, and then covers up. You can do that in hockey, but we can't do that in lacrosse, but whatever, right? But when I see a goalie kind of twist up, I know that they're not training for that and they're underprotected. And that's why my argument for protection for lacrosse goalies will continue. And also, just to rant a little bit more, when a lacrosse goalie is protected to the level that I think they need to be protected at, they will play. Not only will they make those saves, they'll make more saves to the 5-hole. They'll absorb stuff with their body where they can, because we know, as my graphic shows here, all that red, that shot has to be saved with the stick. Unless field lacrosse goalies start playing like field hockey goalies, which basically stand like this, right? And that's we could argue that maybe that's, or a boxer doing drill, like, but that's how field hockey goalies have gone, right? So, but the idea there is like, okay, if there's a ball, like this is where, like I talked a couple weeks ago, if you train without a stick, and your goalie may start to realize like, wow, I can actually stop balls better than my off stick high, my off stick high with my hand than I do with my stick. We've all seen that clip on Instagram. Like there's the ref blows the whistle dead and the ball comes over to that midi, like side left. Midi like rips the ball anyway, but the goalie's like walking out of the cage. His stick's down by his side, and he just throws his hand up and just stops the shot. And everybody's like, dang, right? Well, goalie didn't have a stick in his hand. And he stopped that shot from like 6 yards, right? So I want you to understand, when you start asking these questions, you start training your goalie and have some fun with it, then these answers start to come true, right? Come out. All right. So, all right. I think I've covered a lot for tonight. I hope that helps. And I hope that you guys all enjoyed that. I'm trying my best to get the clips from this up on YouTube and on Apple Podcasts for those of you guys who can listen in your car and things like that. It's been a bit of a challenge. Frank Segreto, thank you, sir. So it's just a bit of a challenge, and I've been trying to find an assistant that I can hire to help with that. Shell B94, awesome, thank you. Did you answer the 3 questions, Shell B? Hope so. It'll be great to have you in there. Okay. Jason Edwards, thank you. Hi to Alyssa. Benjamin Marquis, quick question here. Best advice for vertically challenged goalies? Yes. Benjamin, how old are you, buddy? Oh, and I had a question I didn't answer here from somebody further before. Benjamin, how old are you? Jonathan Redford, yeah, I saw your switching hands will keep it centered. I see that comment. Yes. Ben Stone, it was great to join in person. Yeah, thank you. All the way from Australia. All right, love that. Love that. We are international. Jason Edwards, yes, I need an intern. Benjamin, you're 26, dude. All right, listen. Keep your normal stance. Know that you're gonna have net above you. But and how tall are you, Benjamin? By the way, all right, like are you like 5'2" or 5'6"? Because if you're 5'6", you're all good. Men's league lack checking in. I love it. It's all right. We'll coach everybody. All right, we're changing the game one goalie at a time, man. It's all good. So listen, Benjamin, just know you can actually use it to your advantage. So a lot of the girls that I coach, like a lot of the girls that I've had in Lacrosse Goalie University, they're all small. Like probably one of the best examples of a good goalie who's small is Megan Taylor, who was like, I don't know, 4'6". I don't know how tall she was. Yeah. So yeah, Shell B writes, I'm 5'2" and had 62%. If I could do it, he can too. Yeah, Benjamin, you're 5'7", man. I was 5'7.25" in high school, right? So you can do it. All right. So it's not that big of a deal. It's actually can be an advantage because you have net up there. You know you're going to be giving that up. Like this clip that I have on screen right now. I mean, Kincannon is like what 6'2", and in his stance, like he's shorter than you'd be playing. All right. So it's possible. All right. So I wouldn't hesitate on that too much. Okay. So that's a great question. Okay. I'm scrolling back here. TJ the Killer 24. Yeah. Send me an email, man. That'd be awesome. All right. Sorry. I'm just scrolling back. Okay. This is a good one for anybody who's got a goalie who's gone through an injury. Okay. Ride Dog 345 here on YouTube writes, I was wondering if you have a good routine for getting back into the position after being out for a knee injury, specifically a stress fracture in your tibia. Ride Dog, that's a good one. So stress fractures was in the. I don't know if you're still on, Ride Dog. It's been a while. Growth plate or not? Was it from getting hit with a ball? Doubt it. Ryan, okay. Okay, Ryan, I got you. Okay, here we go. So Ryan, so one, if that stress fracture is in your growth plates, like at the top of the tibia, you want to make sure. First of all, you got to talk to a doctor, right? I'm not a doctor, but I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night, so here we go. One, I would pad that up. Okay, so I would get. When you have a stress fracture like that, you want to make sure that you are protected around that area. Okay. So you're going to want a shin guard. You're going to want, I had a goalie years ago who actually took a football thigh pad and had it formed, and that was super thick, right? And then what she does is you donut out a little bit of the inside that goes against your skin. So that's the key when you got some of these bruises. It was from running inside the bone. Okay. So stress fractures, for that, it's less about the impact of getting shot on. So the protection thing is a bit of a, it doesn't really apply here, but you got to rest it up, right? That's the biggest thing about stress fractures is you got to rest them up. And after about 2 weeks though, bone heals pretty strong, right? The thing about a stress fracture, right, is they x-ray you can't see it, right, on that initial x-ray, but after it heals, they see it. So your doctor, your physio probably was just saying like, hey, you most likely have a stress fracture because that's the type of pain you were having, right? So, but after a couple of weeks, it should be healed up better than new, okay? One, if you're a goalie, stop running, right? Run on soft surfaces, you're going to do it, and I'm going to encourage you to do this. Don't be running long distances, but sprint. If you like to run, which we do. Like I remember when I was a young kid and I liked to run. I liked that. So run hills instead. Okay. Run hills instead, and you'll have much better. You're going to get a lot of the same physiologic response that you're looking forward to. Heck, you may even be addicted to it. But you're going to get your hips stronger, and that's going to make you a better goalie. Right. Whenever I have a goalie come to me, I'll ask them, like, what other sports do you play? If they tell me they run cross country, I usually tell them to stop, like, right now. Right. Cause it's like, what do you want to do? Do you want to be a runner, or do you want to be a lacrosse goalie? Right. I'm sure after this, you're going on some running, Facebook Live, but you just have to make that decision. But if you like to run, then run hills. Okay. And that actually takes a lot of the stress off, a lot of that impact gone. Right. Which is great, because you're just, the impact point is completely different. Okay. Running, like, is a very, very stress inducing on the body. All right. So don't overstress yourself. Okay. Don't overstress yourself. And like I said, like, if I'm going to fight for you to be a better lacrosse goalie, stop running. All right. Stop running. Okay. So keep that in mind. I hope that helps. All right. Does that help? Let me know. All right. Now I can't remember where it was. Okay. There we go. All right. So everybody who's watched, it's 7:30. I'm out. It's lacrosse and golf for me, if that helps. Cool. Yeah. Like, even like run hills, man, that your golf game will get better too. Okay. All right. Good luck with that. That's those suck. And get a friendlier avatar there, man. You got like a skull head. That's kind of scary, dude. You got lots of ages on this thing. I don't want to scare the public. All right, guys. Matt Ludlow, I see you. Evan Roach, I see you. Evan, I'm not letting you in. My bad. It's all good. All right. And to everybody who joined me on Instagram tonight, thank you. Everybody's on Facebook Live. Do me a quick favor before you leave. Hit the like button. Subscribe. If you haven't already, share this with somebody who needs to hear it. And listen, when you're ready, man, I want to coach your goalie. Come join Lacrosse Goalie University. And now is the time. If you've got a busy summer ahead of you, now is the best time that I can help you. All right. I can help you anytime. But man, if you're serious about your goalie, let's get you going. And I want to encourage you to become a master's member. Like, I'm even thinking about, like, wiping out my mid-range and just going, like, no, I want to work with goalies one-on-one. I want to be on the phone with you. I want to be on Zoom calls every week. And I want to make this the best summer ever for you. So let's get going. All right. Stop messing around. All right, guys. Have a great week. Talk to you soon. Cheers. Bye.